pleasure. Like I say, I can answer anything you want to ask me. I might not have the, might not be the best information in the world, but it's all I know.
Well, that's great. I really appreciate your willingness to do this because my father, Stanley Todd, really never talked about this stuff very much at all.
Uh-huh.
I think he talked to my brother when he was a little boy
Uh-huh.
a little bit, and he talked to my son, interviewed him when he was like in elementary school. So, is this something you'd ever talked very much about?
Not really, no. I can faintly remember him, the picture that I guess my daughter took off the internet or something, and it's the one that you sent her, I guess. I remember him from that, but actually at that time nobody had too much conversation, really.
Right.
But
Can you tell me a little bit about, you were shot down, I think, on, March 22nd?
22nd of March, right?
And how did you got separated from your crew, so you...
Well, yeah, so actually what happened, see, we had to jump out of Bombay, and the nose gunner was supposed to go first. I was actually the top turret gunner, and he got down there and he looked, and then finally he raised up and shook his head. I'm not going. So I said, get out of the way. Somebody's got to go. So I got down and I went first, and he was still blocking the way for the other people. But finally, when the pilot and co-pilot got up, everybody else had already went out. And he said, well, you better go too. But in the meanwhile, I was already out and down. And when I looked back up after I'd opened my chute, all I could see was the plane, and it was still flying. I just wondered, later, did they make it back, or was I the only one that got out of there? But anyway, I saw him later, about a month later, I guess.
All right.
Yeah.
And so when were you actually captured then, when you landed on the ground?
I landed, actually I came down right in the middle of a little town. I'm not sure of the name of it, but I came down right on the sidewalk. And they were there waiting for me, naturally. Well, I could see them as I was coming down, I could see the soldiers coming in. They were probably 50 or more, and they were just walking right into town and waiting for me to hit the ground. So I had no chance to do anything, really. Yeah. But they fired a few shots at me, because I said they must have been lousy shots, because they all missed anyway. Thank goodness.
That's good. And so then what happened to you?
Well,
Were the only ones that landed there?
yeah, they had a little, I guess it's actually just like a little jail in a town, and that's where they had me for about, I don't know, maybe 3 or 4 days, and then they moved me out to another place on an air base, and I think that's where your husband is at, right there. There's 13 of us there, yeah.
Her dad.
And yes, we stayed there seemed to be about a week or so. And he probably remembered me because I had a confrontation with the little guard we had there, was a corporal. And he wanted me, he had a watch and 2 rings on, and he wanted the jewelry, and I refused to give it to him. So from then on, he had my number. We had those, like your husband probably told you, we had those like buckets in the bathroom, and this little guy would wait till they were overflowing, and guess who got to empty them? He'd come around and about every day, or maybe every other day, and he'd come out and say, come with me. So every time he came, I knew what it was till I did it the first day. But he didn't like me because I didn't let him have the jewelry. But like I say, there was a little confrontation every time, and I didn't go until he pulled out his pistol. then I decided, well, I can give you those things, I guess.
And that was out at the
That was in the,
airport.
yeah,
The jail out at the airport.
right, little jail in the air, at the air base.
Right.
And that's where we saw the bars into on the windows there. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, in fact, I think we had them all sawed in two except one, maybe. And of course, we filled them full of soap so the guards wouldn't see where we had sawed them.
Oh.
And then, like I say, we was down to one, and the next day they moved us out of there.
And that was out at the air base. Is
Uh,
that also where you met the Frenchman?
That's right. Yeah, it was. Yeah. Yeah.
Did he come there about the same time you did, or?
I really never did know where he came from, but he was there after I was, maybe a day or two or something like that. Yeah. But, of course, we had no idea. Like I told my wife before, after I got out, I kind of suspect he might have been a spy, and I guess that's probably about from what you were saying. I guess that was right.
Right. Yeah, I think that he was acting like he was a doctor. Is that
Yeah, that's right. He said he was a doctor.
right? So why do you think you were transferred out of the air base into the air? Is that because they caught you trying to escape?
No, I think actually we could hear the Russian big guns firing, and they weren't too far away when they moved us out. And I think that's why they closed that down and moved us, and they probably moved out themselves, because we could hear the big guns going off all the time.
No.
That, at least that was what I thought anyway.
What do you remember about moving from there?
Well, they moved us out, and we went to another little, I don't know where it was at, it's some little part of the base, I think it was. And that's where they questioned us again, not very much. But anyway, they gave us back the stuff that they had taken away from us. And, they took our belts and everything, but at that time, he was a German, he was an officer, I don't know what he was, the captain, I think. But anyway, he gave everything back to us. And, in the meanwhile, when this little corporal was trying to take my jewelry, I had a pair of dirty socks in my pocket, and I figured he'd be around again, so I put them all in that dirty sock and